Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies, hey, babies, 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 babies. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. What's up? How was the weekend? On? Good?
Oh.
Yeah, it was great.
One of the best concerts I've ever seen.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, period.
All
and
right.
you know me, I'm a concert snob.
That's right.
I had high expectations, and he blew
And they
them
met
away.
him, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome.
YouTube people, I've got this thing for one more day. Supposedly it comes off tomorrow. My wrist no longer hurts, but it's the most annoying thing on earth. It's just itchy. There are stitches in there. I can feel them because I'm running my finger up in there now. And every time it rubs them the wrong way, they get irritated. And then I just get angry and, I'm fidgety. And so I cannot wait to get this thing off. It's so annoying.
There's a story with my sister when she broke her arm that she did the same thing, had a pen and was scratching.
Basically.
Dropped the pen in.
Yeah. Oh, and got it in there? Just stuck? Just in there for what, a week?
No.
2?
Had
3?
to bring her to the hospital to
get it out.
Get it out.
Because why?
Well, you can't let that sit there while a wound is healing.
Oh, because then you get ink.
Well, or you get I don't know.
What happens?
The pen heals into your skin or something, so had to bring her and get
What
it
if you
redone.
become an amazing artist when that happens?
Don't think that happened, no.
That's not the Spider-Man
No,
story? It's not a
so.
Spider-Man
Don't think so.
story?
Don't think
I put
so.
a pen in my broken arm, and I came out, and I was Picasso.
Breaks,
No?
then you have blue skin all of a sudden. Yeah,
Okay.
Don't think so.
Yeah, mine's just annoying. I'm at that point, so maybe that'll be my new invention now, because I'm sure everybody goes through this. What can I put up there that's safe that would stop the itching? Because it's just so annoying. I can't handle it. I hate it so much. So I can't wait to rip this thing off tomorrow morning.
You need one of those baby like back scratchers that they have at the arcade for 5 tickets. What would I need that
That's
for?
right.
And you're like, now.
Yeah,
that's what you need it for.
I'm also sick of the jokes. I'm sick of the jokes. I had wrist surgery.
Yeah.
My wrist is out of commission. It's bad jokes all over the place.
I'm sure at football practice there's not
no.
there's nothing
Everybody's
clean about that
real
one.
clean over there still. Everything's cleaned
sure,
up.
Doc
all the up
Walker
and up.
hasn't made any jokes about any of that.
No, constant.
He would never.
Constant.
He would never.
Yeah, this is still day, 283 that he has not invited me on his podcast. I don't understand that at all.
I got invited.
I know. Everybody has. Everybody gets invited to his podcast, except me. I don't know why. I think it's I don't know why. If he ever does invite me, I will ask what took so long. He won't answer that question, but I will ask.
Like as Doc's former...
Every person I know has been on that podcast.
As Doc's former producer, you know this, though. He likes players more than he likes any kind of analyst or anyone with the team. So...
Well, I hear you, but I saw Ben standing on it. I've seen Kime on it.
You got a gripe.
You're on it.
You got a gripe. I was on for Caps, though. I wasn't on for football. So, I mean...
Okay.
No.
Still...
I appreciate
it. It's interesting. Whatever. I'm not upset about it. Just find it interesting.
No. I do think
because I play on. He's doing the preseason games, and I already said to him, I'd like to have you on the show before the preseason games that you're going to call them. And he's like, yeah, of course he'll do anything. He's fine. And then I will ask, why am I not on your podcast? How have you not asked me to be on your podcast?
But no, Doc.
How?
He's going to go, Bram, I know your schedule's so hectic.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do?
Yep.
He'll pull that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anyway, whatever. All right, let me tell you my story from the weekend, and then we'll get into the news, which is we haven't traded Soto yet, which is...
No, we haven't. In fact, I'd say the momentum has not stalled, but, slowed a little bit, maybe, would be my take on that real quick. But yeah.
Maybe this has been a big game of chicken.
Which is what I actually said.
I hope
I said 2 things. I said the Padres, if they want him, aren't going to pay him. And I said this could be a big ploy by Mike Rizzo, hoping to get the GM to go, here's 10 prospects, take them.
Yeah.
That was bait to say.
Yeah. I want something absolutely ridiculous.
Empty somebody's system,
right,
essentially.
Right.
So we'll see.
Okay. So we'll get into that in a minute. Let me tell you my story from camp. So I took my son to camp over the weekend.
That was wearing the Terry McLaurin jersey.
He wore a Terry McLaurin jersey, and we went out there. And, if you've been following this, the crowds aren't, huge. So you get really good proximity to the whole thing.
Yep.
And, because he was with me, we could kind of roam around a little bit. But I played by the rules. I told him, you got to stay behind the ropes where the fans are. I'll stay back here with you. You're 2 feet behind where the media can stand, but I didn't want to get in trouble. I don't need guys, get the kid off the field.
Of course.
So, so I told him, I'm like, we're going to play by the rules. And we did. And then, as camp kind of started, I got to hear the guys I work with, like Kime and JP and people like that. I got to introduce him to all those people, which he thought was fine, because he's give me the good stuff. And then, he got to watch practice, and he's been watching a lot of football with me and playing a lot of Madden, so he's been into it. So he's 9. So that was really cool, and we've been kind of, commiserating over it. And I went to camp as a kid, so this was very special to me to take him to camp. And there's pictures of me shaking hands with Joe Gibbs and getting Joe Jacoby's autograph and stuff like that in Carlisle. So there was a big nostalgic part that, 1, he wants to do it, and 2, I got to take him to do it. So it was really fun to do that. So we go there, and he's got the McLaurin jersey on, which matters here, which matters.
Okay.
So we're walking around, and you can get pretty close to the players. When they were playing, they have 4 fields, but they're practicing on 2 of them, and one is in, is literally 20 feet in front of you. If you go out there, you'll be able to see it. If they practice on the far field, you're kind of SOL with that.
Right,
but if they practice on the close field, and they're just rotating, so they just don't want to ruin one of the fields.
Yeah.
They happen to be on Saturday to be, and I think because of the expected larger crowd, because it was the weekend, they did the closer field.
Yep.
So they're practicing, and then he wanted to go see the receivers. He loves Dotson and McLaurin. So we walked down to the side of the rope that we're allowed to go to, and there they were, practicing catching passes, and it was just like, individual pass and catch drills, nothing specific about it. And then they were kind of done with that, and that session ended, and they were going to go do something else. I said, hey, come walk with me, because I knew where they were going. I'm like, come walk with me, we'll go set up. So we did, and we started walking around, and a member of the staff jumped over the ropes, and this completely, literally unsolicited, and said, hey, Terry wants me to give you this, and saw him wearing the jersey and got him a game ball.
Oh, what?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And as we talked about last week, I have to introduce myself to the players as the voice of the team.
Right.
I don't think they automatically know it.
Yeah, of course.
Because for the last 2 years, I haven't been allowed to be in their locker room.
Yeah.
I've talked to them via
That's nobody's
Zoom.
fault. That's just the way life has been.
Yeah. They don't know me very well. Some of them do. Most of them don't. And he's one of them. I interviewed him the other day. That was the first time I'd ever done it in person.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I hadn't done it. I'd done it over Zoom a few times. I've never done it in person.
Sure.
So I believe this was completely unsolicited, that he just saw a kid in a jersey and just does things like that.
Yeah.
And did. So my kid is now over the moon. Okay.
New favorite player of any sport, I'm assuming.
Well, this is also there's part of me so jealous too. He went to one baseball game, got a foul ball, and goes to one practice and gets a game ball.
I was gonna say, somebody who's gotten some of that sports luck, that's you're pushing.
It's pretty unbelievable.
You're pushing it already.
I know. Where are we going next? We go to a Caps game, and Ovechkin gives him his stick.
Yeah, flips the stick over the glass.
What's the next thing that's going to happen?
Better bring Archer to the glass tickets.
He's hanging out in the grotto with Arenas. What's happening next? Anyway, it was cool. So he's now he's oh my God. He realized it.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying to him, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm I can't even begin to explain to you that's amazing. And then because
I need to ask because of the memorabilia person in me. This was just a ball that they were using during practice.
Yeah.
Then
they were literally using it.
Did he sign it or
practice.
anything, or he just gave it to Archer?
He just gave it to
Okay.
him, but because a bunch of there's not that many people there.
Yep.
You're getting a lot of autographs.
Right.
And he got him to sign it.
There you go.
He got Dotson to sign it.
There you go.
Jamin Davis, Carson Wentz,
Nice.
Tress Way. I got a video of Sam Cosmi, him telling Cosmi he plays flag football now. I got a video of that. It was awesome. So it was really, truly a unique, incredible experience. And I liked thinking that I had nothing to do with it. I really maybe I don't think so. They don't do me any favors. I don't ask for anything, and I also said nothing to anybody and did not make a big deal. And it was I was surprised. It was totally unsolicited. I was hey Terry, this is my son.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing anything like that. It was completely unsolicited, and it was wild. So he's pumped, and I'm telling him you're putting that in a case. You're not playing with it with your friends. You're not going out in the mud and playing with that. That is something you keep for the rest of your life.
I was going to say, here's what you do. You get the nice case on Fanatics with the Commanders logo on it. You get that in there, and then you make sure you get a picture of you and him from practice, and it is something that he will cherish forever.
I hope so.
When he gets older, too. That's going to be something that is priceless, essentially.
It is. So. It's priceless. He got a priceless item. He did. He got a priceless item the other day.
That's
and I can't thank McLaurin enough for doing that, because it's amazing. The only access part that he got that I was able to kind of show him was, you'll hear this in a few minutes, I interviewed Ryan Kerrigan over the weekend because he held a press conference to announce his retirement, and he may be becoming a coach and maybe trying to do that with the Commanders.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. We'll see how that works out. But But I did an interview with him. So, like the cool part of my job was there was somebody who does know who I am and like came over and said hello and did an interview. So he got to watch me do that. So that was cool to show him that I do fun things. And then because we were in that area interviewing him, he did get to meet Rivera.
Oh, nice.
Because Rivera came up to do an interview with somebody, I don't remember who, but came up to do an interview. And so I got to introduce him to Rivera, and he missed his one opportunity to say what he had been meaning to say to him the whole time. So we had one missed opportunity.
Oh, so he had something he wanted to tell him.
That he was going to be drafted by him when he gets older.
Look at that.
So he missed that one. He missed that one.
Okay,
but
enough.
he had a great day, and it was amazing. It really was.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Training camp stories are the best. Like that is why you go to training camp, to get the moments like that.
It was shocking. Really, it was incredible. All right, now
fantastic.
to worst news on Earth. All right.
Now back to Earth for a little bit. Yeah.
Now let's see. We're never going to spring training ever again for the Nationals if they trade away the greatest player ever. Let's see. Major League trade deadline is 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes.
According to, let's see, Jim Bowden says,
former Nats GM,
says on CBS Sports it's down to 3 teams: the Cardinals, the Padres, the Dodgers. That's it. That's the list.
That sounds right.
Is that consistent with what you're hearing?
Yeah.
That it's down to just a few teams?
The teams that are basically have enough on the table that the Nats can at least say you're sitting with us for right now.
So that means the Yankees aren't willing to unload the whole thing to get him.
Correct. Exactly.
That's interesting.
I think it would cost the Yankees a little too much. They're better than they used to be doing irrational things. They still need to kind of build up the farm system to start doing this every single year, kind of like the Dodgers are. That's
so you're saying the timing's not right for them.
Correct.
And if this is a game of chicken and he becomes a free agent in a couple of years, they'll be the first in line to offer him more money than anybody else.
Maybe, but you got to remember, Aaron Judge is going to be a free agent after this year. Remember, that was the big thing. He's at 40 home runs and it's August 1st. They have their own problem with that.
How old is he?
Judge, older than Soto. Let's see.
Is he
Aaron
30?
Judge is 30. He is 30.
So the tricky part with him is everybody knows you can't give a 10-year deal to a 30-year-old player.
Correct. Especially someone of his size.
You
know that.
Right.
He eventually is not going to be able to move very well.
Now what?
Yeah.
Right? So what? They're probably offering him a 5-year deal for a ton of money, and he's probably saying no to it.
Right.
And they're like, guys.
Right.
Like, we're not paying a 40-year-old $40 million a year. We're not going to do it.
I would guess they're probably offering him 5 years, $300 million?
No, that's 60 a year. I don't think so.
No, sorry. My math is
550 is 250.
Sorry.
540 is 200. 5,200 would be $40 million a year. If he gets the Trout number, it's a little less. 5,175.
5,200 is probably what
he's
going to end up getting.
They give him 5,200. It's going to be hard to turn that one down But again, he's going to hit the.
Right.
Some Huckleberry's going to give him 10 for 400 is the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem.
Right.
And they're going to so regret it in like 3 years and be like, we have 7 years left of this with this guy.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we're down to those particular 3. The Padres, who look at it as a screw it, we have a chance.
They just got Hader today. They got Black Magic guy from Milwaukee today. They got Hader.
So they got a good reliever.
Yep.
They have good starters.
Great reliever at that.
They have 2 really, really good hitters already. They bring him in. They don't have to sign him to anything. Mm-hmm. They just deal with it for 3 summers, and then we'll get there when we get there. And if he's a rental, he's a rental, but whatever. And like, F them picks. They can go F them picks here, right? Let's just get rid of it. Like, we have a window. We need to juice the team up, otherwise we can't beat the Dodgers.
Right.
Let's just go do it. Mm-hmm. Screw the future. F them picks.
Yes.
They're F them picks. Possibility.
And I kind of feel like, and look, I think context matters here with the Padres. Been around a while, haven't won a World Series. This is a stacked roster for them. I kind of get it while they would go all in and say F them picks and go all in on this because guess what? They're never catching up to the Dodgers in any facet because the Dodgers are the Dodgers, right? So I kind of get it why they would want to do it, but I still don't know if it's going to be enough to get anything done.
Okay. Team 2 is the Cardinals, of which everyone says has the best offer if they're willing to give it up.
Correct. They have the
best
closest
offer.
They have the closest amount of players that are major league ready. The guys on the Padres have a higher ceiling, is what I've heard.
Higher ceiling, and they're probably willing to give up more of them. And they're going.
Few of them just went today, though. There was 4 players that went back to Milwaukee for Hader, and Hader and
so that's not a good sign then for them to be in on Soto.
They'll probably still have more though. I mean, Hader's a rental, so you never get as much with rentals, especially a reliever.
Okay,
but with
Milwaukee did that,
and Milwaukee never really quote rebuilds either. They always
did they
retool.
Do that?
I think just the haul was too good. That's why I think, and they have apparently they have a plethora of relievers too.
But they're going to be in the playoffs.
Apparently, they have enough relievers that they're not too worried.
All right. Okay, so we got Team 2 is St. Louis, which is, would they pay him that kind of money at some point? I don't know. I suppose. They probably aren't thinking about it right now. Do they look at it like the Padres do in the same way that they think they're right there, and if they bring someone else in, that it's an F them picks for them too? I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask them that.
They're probably also
They're a weird candidate because the Padres, considering how much money they've spent in recent years, I would buy that on the other end of this that they would try to be competitive to keep them, but I don't know that the Cardinals would or wouldn't. So
I think the Cardinals would, but the Cardinals have a great scouting department, so they're probably saying, we'll get this guy and we'll hopefully keep him for the next 10 years, and then we're just going to replenish while we got it anyways. And they have, like I said, their talent's all major league ready. Like, it's going to take a year or two for all those guys, if they were to be traded from the Nationals, to come on the Nationals. The Nationals are so bad, I wouldn't be shocked if all of them were on the Nats by the end of the year if that trade goes down too. So.
Okay, and then there's, the Monstars who could do whatever they want.
That's right.
They could spend any money they want. They can give you away talented players who are playing right now, and it won't affect them, and give you prospects because they got the crazy Tampa guy who does that too. They are the Death Star.
Correct.
If you do trade him to Los Angeles, my gut says that Boris does come around to giving him a contract in the very near future because that's what they're doing. They're going to sign him.
Right.
There wouldn't be that question of it hanging out there. And so, is that where Soto wants to go? I don't know. If he does, then they probably do get a deal done. If that's not where he wants to go and he's against these other two, then he becomes a rental. I don't know what the Dodgers are offering back. I did see this one, list, and again, most of it's prospects, and most of the guys aren't playing, so I'm not qualified to even pretend to know whether it's good value or not. I still think in the end that I've drawn a hard line, and even through this, I kind of weirdly expected through the weekend to hear he was traded, but I'm glad it didn't happen. I'm glad we got to suck it up for 24 more hours, basically. Tim Kirkchen, by the way, is going to come on here at 4:25, so we'll ask him what he's hearing and what he's, thinking about this. Really, I want to hear what he's thinking about this when we get him on here. Does Rizzo do a deal with the Dodgers that gives them Trey Turner, Max Scherzer, Juan Soto, for crying out loud? Does he do that?
They might get him to throw in Steve Cechek or a couple other guys too. He might get him to throw in, not Bell, but like Yadiel Hernandez, guys like that. They might want someone else too to help bolster their lineup. I don't know who that person may be, but
Dodgers have all the money in the world, so do they eat the Corbin stuff for them to help them? Which is a really dumb thing, I think, to make this deal happen because bad contracts are bad contracts. Like, there's no salary cap here. It's unlike like a basketball or football where you're like, if you could somehow get out of a bad contract, that's good for you.
Right.
This only helps the ownership, and I really, frankly, considering we're talking about this, don't care what they think about it if we're thinking about this. Like,
correct.
Oh, you guys saved some money? Good for you.
Yep. Right, exactly.
Congratulations. I'm so glad you did that while getting rid of the player that I love the most.
Right.
I love him the mostest.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know.
Do you think this is a game of chicken now or no? Because we're at the point now where it's are we doing this or not?
My gut says
it's
yes.
one of those.
My gut says yes.
What, this is truly, in the end, they really weren't going to trade him. They had to scare him. But he still didn't sign a contract.
Right.
So
but that being
we're
said,
just back in détente if this goes on for 24 hours. It doesn't mean that everybody's not looking at each other sideways for the next 6 months.
Soto had a quote after the game that I think really
yesterday?
shed some light on it because he spoke to reporters. And his quote was basically this: I just want to get the day over with, and whether that means I'm starting over here or I'm just going where I'm going to go. And I think, sometimes with Soto and Hispanic players, the translation gets a little wonky there. Mm-hmm. But I think that was real. That, hey, if I'm here, I'm going to breathe, hit the reset button, and then just get through the rest of the season. Because his demands are known now. Him and Boris aren't going to sign anything until they know who the new owners are. Well, guess what? We're going to know.
I actually don't have a problem with that either.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
Actually, of things that I've heard players say why they won't take astronomical sums of money, this one actually rings as something that I'll hear him out on.
For literally a decade plus in one location, I will happily hear that out. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And so when he said that, I kind of believe him, and I'll take him for his word there, that he's going to swallow anything that happened here, in the past couple weeks, and then go about his business for the second half of the season, because he has no other choice. And then it opens up all these other questions, but they can't be answered for the rest of the time that he's playing here, at least this year. So
I agree. All right, so here's the deal. If something happens, you're going to have to tell me.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have Twitter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And this is okay, I don't know what happened, but over the weekend, my Twitter account stopped working. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
I have never felt more naked in my entire, it's been going on for 48 hours. I've tried to contact the company 1,000,000 times. I keep checking it to make sure who hacked me and what are they writing,
right.
And so you can't DM me today, or if you get a DM from me, it's not from me. I don't know what's going on. It's frightening. And when I do the show, I need Twitter. So this sucks. I feel very naked. I didn't know how reliant.
Real old school radio.
You know how I found out Deshaun Watson got suspended today? An email alert.
Oh, God.
Yeah. An email alert.
2022, playa.
That was weird. I walked up I was like, oh, did you guys see? And then I was like, oh, of course you did.
Yeah, of course.
It happened 2 hours ago.
That's right. Man.
Old man. It was total old man. I heard on a telephone call. It was like that.
You got that telegrammed to you?
Yeah. A carrier pigeon told me that the Browns are without their quarterback for 6 weeks.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I'm freaking out. Really freaking out.
I would say, though, if you all of a sudden survive this by the end of the week without your Twitter account, you may never want to go back.
That's not true, and you know that. I like to be on top of things.
Same,
and unless there's a better service that lets me scroll the news, then I'll go to that one. I don't think there's a going back. I'm not going off the grid. I'm not one of those people. I don't want to get a cabin in Montana and never talk to anybody.
Fair enough.
Well, maybe, but I'll have the internet.
Yeah, of course.
I'll have my cell phone in the internet. Yeah, I'll have my cell phone to be working just fine. I just might not talk to you. So if something happens, you just got to tell me.
I'll tell you your mentions too, because I have your mentions on TweetDeck over here. So I'll go ahead and pass those along.
Let me know. And if someone from Twitter is listening to this and can fix it, please God. This has been 2 straight days of it. I haven't had it. It's rough.
You need a contact over there.
Yeah. I had to meditate last night. I was so upset about the whole thing.
Oh.
I meditated.
Meditated?
I meditated. I'm starting to meditate. I do. Sometimes. I'm meditating more lately.
Huh.
Without Twitter, I needed something to calm my brain.
Hurt wrist, no Twitter.
It's been a rough couple days.
Life's a little...
Yeah, but then my kid got that ball from McLaurin, and then I remembered what the most important things in life. I'm like an after-school story now. The more you know. I don't need Twitter or my wrist. Not when my son's happy. Yeah.
One more for you. Shout out to the people at Masson yesterday.
What'd they do?
I've not watched a lot of Nats lately because they're terrible. There was a shot where Rizzo was sitting in a suite with Cardinals GM John Mozeliak.
They showed it?
And they showed it. And
did they get a terse email from the Lerner family after that?
Not only were they were sitting side by side and clearly just talking, but Carp and Kevin Franzen were like, wonder what they're talking about. Oh, and then Masson production flashed to Soto in the outfield with a close-up shot on Soto, went back to them, and then what was funny was Rizzo and John must have caught themselves on TV because they both started looking up and laughing at each other. So shout out to Masson for finally pulling the curtain back a little bit and just saying, they're talking about trading him. We're going to embrace it a little bit here because the trade deadline's coming up on Tuesday. So props to them.
By the way, this is probably old news, but I'm just seeing it now. Shohei Otani is not getting traded.
Yes, correct.
He's not getting
Yankees
traded.
did try to get him, though. They did try to make an offer to
what
get
they're
him.
saying, a serious offer to get him, and Artie Moreno, the owner, stepped in.
See, that's what I told you. It was more about him than anyone else.
Let's see.
That owner is the opposite of Lerner, or the Lerners.
Well, we'll see. We'll find out in the next 24 hours if the Lerners do step in and tell Rizzo, since he gets his marching orders from them, that you're not trading him.
I'm going to the game tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, my God. If they announce he's traded in the afternoon and then you're at that game that night.
It's going to be ugly.
It is going to be ugly. That's an ugly crowd.
My brother-in-law's flying in for the Raid show. And I said, well, we're going to see DeGrom come back.
Yeah, I'll be at the Raid show.
Yeah.
I'll be able to get my anger out.
That's right.
I'll be in the perfect place for that.
I said, we'll see DeGrom come back. Can't guarantee you Soto's going to face him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with me. I'm going to be in a bad mood tomorrow night at that Raid show.
Twitter?
No
Juan
Twitter.
Soto could be traded.
I wouldn't even know it. It might happen. I won't even know it.
You might get that on Facebook.
Maybe. Maybe. I'll get an email from the Washington Post to my inbox 3 hours after it happened.
I will ask you
Soto
this.
traded.
You know, you have your Empire entity.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything else, but can't you just sign into that one? And
So because Empire is under my same account, I'm locked out of that one too.
Oh, you're locked out of all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
That's really not
It's been a
good.
rough go for me personally the last few days. I got a weird arm. Twitter doesn't work. I don't know what to do.
If I was
all
on,
very
you're on
upsetting.
day 3 without Twitter?
Yeah, it happened on Saturday. It just out of the blue stopped working.
If I were you, I would have already created another account just to follow things.
Oh, that's true. I guess I could do that. I'm more freaked out. Like, did someone hack my account and what's going to be put out there?
Be your ghost account. Commanders fan 674963.
Washington Pandas at Washington Pandas.
That's right.
Yeah.
At Real Bram W. You're the best play-by-play guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love all of your interviews with everybody. They're the best.
Yeah. The broadcast is the only thing I listen to on
Yeah.
Sundays.
The only thing. Even the commercials.
That's right.
That's right.
More Bram.
Yeah. More. I think the broadcast should be going through the loudspeakers at FedEx Field on game days.
It does on the concourse, not on...
Well, that's right. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Okay. Take it back. All right, let me take a quick break. I got to speak to Ryan Kerrigan over the weekend off of his retirement, and I'll play that interview for you next. Brad Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. So over the weekend, Ryan Kerrigan held a press conference to announce he was retiring from playing. As you'll hear in this interview I had with him after he held his press conference, coaching seems like something that may happen. And Ron Rivera addressed the idea that they're dabbling in it with him. So I think they're feeling each other out about him potentially at some point maybe taking a role on their staff, and we'll see where that goes.
Sure.
But they're dabbling in it and thinking about it. And, you know, this was something that, and you'll hear his comments about Chase Young and Montez Sweat in a minute, but, like, those guys really respected him in the locker room a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, all things considered, that, you know, I still firmly believe this team goes as far as guys like those guys take them.
Yep.
If that's someone that they're going to lean on, listen to, and get better because he can provide wisdom and coaching, well, then hire him today.
Yep. No, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know last year was last year and 2020 was 2020, but that D-line did perform in 2020, and then 2021 in the small sample size we got of the healthy defensive line, they weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And did he have a factor in that? I don't know, but
I don't know.
I'm gonna guess he would have helped at the bare minimum.
I think, you know, I believe in coaches in the locker room mattering. And,
Yes.
you know, I think, you know, because Kerrigan didn't have a deep past with Rivera, it's hard for Rivera to look at it as, well, he's going to be the guy that's kind of, you know, so in fairness to him. But he's done this, every team does this, and there was a couple examples of this. The last couple of years, John Bostic was in their locker room. I don't think necessarily just he ended up playing a lot, but, like, that wasn't the intention. It was to help mentor Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb and guys like that. Thomas Davis was there 2 years ago as someone who'd been in Carolina for a long time and could, he wasn't supposed to play a lot. He was supposed to kind of implement, This is how things are done, under Ron Rivera. And maybe if Kerrigan had a longer relationship with him, maybe they would have found a way to give him a veteran minimum deal, keep him on the roster. No, he's not going to play very much, but he's worth his weight in gold if he gets Sweat and Young to play to their potential and potentially get better as they go along. And maybe they're seeing that as a possibility here, right? So it's a possibility.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Anyway, after he held his press conference Saturday morning, I had a chance to catch up with Ryan Kerrigan. With Ryan Kerrigan. This must be interesting to be back here today.
Yeah, it's very cool. I drove into the park today. Felt good to do that. I've made that drive so many times over the last decade, and come back here to see everybody and not have to worry about hitting anybody. That was kind of nice too.
What were you thinking about as you head into retirement? When you reflect on your career, what comes to mind for you?
I mean, I've been very fortunate to have had success and been able to have some really memorable moments, but I think just the relationships, the teammates, coaches, the guys in the kitchen, guys in the weight room, support staff, everybody, just all the relationships you build over the years, those are what you take with you. And even just yesterday when after the news came out, hearing from certain people, it was just it was so cool. And just to, know that that me retiring mattered. That's cool to me.
Yeah. What do you think about records? I mean, you own a record here. As you kind of think through your 10 years playing here,
it almost doesn't seem real. It's hard to explain. Even though I've got to live this football life for the past 11 years, it almost doesn't seem real. I've been so fortunate. It's just been cool. It's been amazing. It's almost hard to put into words just because you try to, okay. You dream about, as a kid playing professionally, and then it's even better than you think it would be. And so I've just been really lucky.
What were your expectations coming out of Purdue 11, 12 years ago? What did you think was going to happen?
Well, I think when you're a first round pick, you expect to be productive, and I expected that of myself. I would say it was more so going from high school to Purdue that I was where things were kind of oh, whoa, because you're going to college and anything can happen. And became an All-American, had some really fun, memorable games and moments, and and so that was a big wow to me because I was such a Big Ten fan growing up, and getting to play in the Big Ten was crazy. But then, so I think when you're a first round pick, there's a level of expectation that others have, but you have for yourself as well. And you stop it, but I'll stop it. But so I just. I said it in my statement yesterday, but it's I think about moments over the years, and it's man, I got to live those. That was pretty cool, pretty dang cool.
What do you think about coming back here and this is the Washington Commanders now?
I think it's cool. I mean, I know that's obviously has been a big talking point over the past long time, but especially over the past couple of years as the change happened. But I think ultimately, if the team wins, people are going to be cool with the name, and I think good things are happening here, and. I hope good things continue to happen on the field.
All right, let me ask you about a couple of players here. Chase Young, I mean, obviously he's coming back from injury, so we'll see when he plays again, but you had 1 year of experience with him. What did you take away from that experience working with him, and what do you see for him in the future once he gets healthy again?
Man, I want to see his potential maximized. Before I'm an NFL player, I'm an NFL fan, and I'm a fan of guys like him who are generational talents, and I want to see his talent maximized because I think that'll be a special thing not only for the fans here in Washington but for the fans around the league. And so, I hope he first and foremost takes his time to get healthy, and by healthy I don't mean available to play, but healthy in life, because that knee is going to be his knee for life. And so I hope he takes the time to fully get healthy, and then once he's able to play, I hope he just is awesome. I hope he is able to build on that awesome rookie year and go from there.
How about Montez Sweat? What do you see for him in the future here?
Man, I think he has a chance to be a superstar in this league. There aren't many 6'6", 260 guys that run like a DB, and I'll never forget his first training camp in 19. They had him doing a punt or a kickoff drill, which I don't know why, but I don't know why he's doing that. But I remember seeing him move, and I'm like, how does this dude this big move this way? And so I think if he can stay healthy and continue to commit himself every day, he's going to have a life of, he's going to have a long, productive, and lucrative career.
Yep. All right, 2 more, and then I'll let you go. You just played for the Eagles.
Yeah.
They made a lot of off-season moves.
Yeah.
They look good. What can you tell us about the Philadelphia Eagles?
Kind of like Washington, I feel like whatever hole they had last year, they filled it. And, playoff team last year, and so they're already good. They won 9 games, and I think they're going to be a formidable opponent. There's no way around it. They got a really great offensive line. I think Jalen Hurts is underappreciated kind of guy. He was.
That's interesting. He gets a lot of criticism specifically for his accuracy.
Right.
You see someone who might become a big time quarterback.
I think so. Obviously I love him as an athlete and as a player, but I think as a person too. You think about the situation he dealt with at Alabama, getting benched in the national title game. For him to come back and be as resilient as he has been from that, that, a lot of weaker-minded people would have not been able to do that. So I think he's going to be a stud. And then their receiving group's awesome, and they made some good moves at linebacker. So I think they're going to be a good team.
They are. All right, last thing, retirement's here. What are you going to do with it? What's the next move?
Well, today I'm going to head and have a couple beers, but you'll have to bear chase, have a couple beers, but I want to get into coaching. I want to stay in the game in some capacity, whether it's coaching or media. I think coaching would be more of the natural fit, just because I feel like I have a lot of good wisdom and I want to pass it on to guys. But I got to stay in the game in some capacity because football is what I know and it's what I love.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. If you were curious, that was his daughter who was done with that interview.
I think he has 3 daughters, right?
3 daughters. He brought them all there, and one of them was done with that interview by the middle of it. I don't blame her. Anyway, it was nice catching up with Ryan Kerrigan. And again, they're going to do some kind of feeling out process of coaching here a little bit. Rivera wasn't totally specific about it. Probably can't be. I think he's like, you know what? Come on out here a couple times. See if it suits you. Mm-hmm. Then we'll talk about it because it's, once you do it, it's probably a little different than what you think it is.
That's right.
So we'll find out. A couple other NFL things that happened that Callow's telling me about because I don't have Twitter is that Pete Carroll has tested positive for COVID.
Yes.
And Kyler Murray has tested positive for COVID.
Yep.
I would assume the latter, there's a lot of, are you watching film while you're isolating?
He's out
jokes.
for 5 days.
5 days.
Does say that. So.
Plenty of time to watch film while you're isolating. Jokes are probably there. And so hopefully both of them get better. You were asking me, no, they don't preemptively test anymore.
Yeah, right.
So this is probably if you're feeling it, you go get tested, and obviously they want you to isolate, stay away from the team and all that stuff. So, but they're not. There are no vans out in the parking lot anymore. There's no preemptive testing anymore. So we're back to full guns a-blazing, even if the pandemic's not done with us.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll both get better soon.
Yes.
I'll do Deshaun Watson at the top of the hour. I wanted to think about it for an hour before I wanted to get into where does the number 6 fall into an adequate suspension, considering what we've learned about him over the last year and a half. Tim Kirkshin at 425, get his thoughts on a potential Juan Soto deal. And up next, we'll discuss the passing of the legendary Bill Russell. Brave, watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. We lost what may be the greatest team sport athlete of all time over the weekend in Bill Russell, who passed away at the age of 88. Sometimes you're very lucky in this business to have proximity to some of these people. I'm not going to pretend that I knew Bill Russell at all, but because I worked with the late John Thompson, the second, John Thompson Sr., he was very close with Bill Russell, and Bill Russell would come and down often for Bobby Mitchell's golf tournament, and John Thompson would do the show, his show, from the golf tournament, and all the legends, of course, would come and sit down with him, including Bill Russell, and he might sit there for an hour. And because I was lucky enough to be doing updates on John Thompson's show, I would sit next to Bill Russell sometimes, or at least for as long as they would let me sit near them.
Yeah.
Typically, it was do your little bit and get out of the way, but at least I had a little bit of proximity, and then, I, maybe had 30-second conversations with him, but basically I had a little bit of proximity to him, and I wouldn't say I knew him at all, but it was he may singularly be the greatest team athlete in American history. Here are the stats that were pointed out in the New York Times, and I'll read the other stuff, which is probably even more important. He led the University of San Francisco to the NCAA championships in 55 and 56, won the gold medal with the U.S. Olympic basketball team in 1956. He then went to the NBA, where he won 8 consecutive NBA titles with the Boston Celtics.
Wow.
1959 to 1966, it far eclipsed the Yankees' 5 straight World Series victories, 1949 to 53, and the Montreal Canadiens that won 5 consecutive Stanley Cup championships, but I don't know how many teams were in the NHL at the time when they did that,
Sure.
1956 to 1960. That said, the NBA wasn't obviously as large an organization as it was at the time. I think there were only 12 teams, something like that. Anyway, he was the NBA's most valuable player 5 times. He was an All-Star 12 times. He finished his career as the number 2 rebounder in NBA history behind his longtime rival, Wilt Chamberlain, who was 3 inches taller than he was. Russell pulled down 21,620 rebounds with an astonishing average of 22.5 per game. Per game.
Crazy.
Single game high of 51 against the Syracuse Nationals, the forerunners of the Philadelphia 76ers in 1960. He didn't have much of a shooting touch, but he did score 14,522 points, many on high percentage, short left-handed hook shots. He averaged 15 points per game, so he wasn't a prolific scorer, actually. But his block shots, the total's unrecorded because they didn't keep those records in his era. That's what altered all the games. Then they go into everything that happened off the court with him. He was the only black player on the Celtics in 1956 when he joined them. That didn't go particularly well. In the 1960s, his home in Massachusetts was vandalized. There are a lot of stuff in his background of things that had happened of a racist variety. And because of that, he became a very guarded person and not a very accessible superstar. It's described here as his primary allegiance was always to his teammates, not to the city of Boston or to the fans. He guarded his privacy and shunned displays of adulation. He refused to sign autographs for fans or even keepsakes for his teammates. And when the Celtics retired his number 6 in 1972, at his insistence, the ceremony was private.
Oh, wow.
He ignored his election to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, which of course is in Massachusetts, and refused to attend his own induction. He said this: in each case, my intention was to separate myself from the Stars' idea about fans and the fans' idea about stars. That's what he wrote. I have very little faith in cheers, what they mean and how long they'll last, compared with the faith I have in my own love for the game. That's what he said. It must be brutal to be the biggest winner the sport's ever seen and get booed and jeered by your own fans because of the color of your skin. I can only imagine how bizarre that must be to live that kind of reality. Then there was everything else that happened afterwards. He did take part in the 1963 March on Washington, and he was in the front row to hear the I Have a Dream speech. He went to Mississippi after the civil rights activist Medgar Evers was murdered.